Hello, Nomads, and welcome to episode 67. My name is Brandon. This is the Nomads of Fantasy podcast, and I'm also here with Eric.
This is the job. You may not like it, but this is the job.
That's a good one.
And Dave.
Anyone ever tell you you got a big fucking mouth? Oh, it gets bigger.
So these are quotes from The Wolf Among Us, a TellTale game from 2013 through 2014, because this game was episodic. It was released over 5 episodes. But yeah. And it's based off of a comic called Fables, which I've never heard of. And honestly, I just like TellTale games. And when this game came out, I was just playing them all, and this just was one that stuck with me. So I was like, I want to talk about this game. And I've played it before. I played it back in the day. Eric, you've never played it?
Never played it. This is my first Telltale game that I've actually finished.
Okay.
I've dabbled, but I qualify this as my first Telltale game.
Okay, and Dave, you've not played it?
I played a couple before, but not this one.
Okay. So we are familiar with Telltale, so we know what we're getting into. It's basically crazy stories, fun stories, broken up over these different, downloadable episodes over time, or sometimes it takes like a year. And it's just quick time events, really. You go left, you go right, or you choose the dialogue. So it's kind of like an RPG where it's like the conversation you would see in an RPG. But...
Adventure story game. I kind of
narrative driven. Yeah. Narrative driven choice.
Which is from the PC days, I think, is where they kind of started from, because that was a very popular thing. King's Quest, Space Quest, and I believe Sam & Max is what these guys did. But eventually evolved into Telltale Games. They had a huge hit with, I want to say it was The Walking Dead, right?
I feel like The Walking Dead was like their breakout success.
Right?
This came out like in their heyday though too, because they had done Back to the Future and Jurassic Park, and then after this they get into Game of Thrones and the Borderlands, and they start getting all those going. So,
right,
this is right in the heyday of Telltale.
I'm sure that this game's, I wouldn't say obscure. I think it's known, but if you know what you're getting into with the Telltale game, and if you enjoy them, there's a good chance you at least tried this game or finished it. But Eric, we asked people on Twitter about this game. Yeah. How many people actually responded to this?
We only got 3, which
I'm not surprised.
More than I thought, but that's exactly right. Not too bad. But if you want to follow us on Twitter, that's at Nomads of Fantasy. Shoot the Flick says, I've been waiting for the sequel forever. Honestly, Telltale was so good all around. I just worry that they won't be able to recapture the magic of the first one. So yeah, we did talk about the sequel in our post there, which is kind of the reason why we wanted to do this game, is because, the sequel is supposedly in the works. It was announced. They had a new trailer back in February, so it's still... in production, still in the back of everybody's mind. But I actually just watched the trailer this morning. Like after I finished the game last night, I watched the new trailer for the sequel this morning, and it just got me like super, super hyped. It gave me chills watching it.
Like it looks like they made some graphical updates on there that look very nice.
Looks, so smooth. Ryan Wilson says, I played the original when it released and loved it. I'm looking forward to the sequel, but it's been so damn long, I'm not going to remember shit.
Yeah.
But I would say replay it.
It's always a good time.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember anything.
Play it. Yep.
Yeah. So it was really cool to go back in and play through it. It was pretty fresh.
And Opinionated Lushes says, OMG, I love that game and have been waiting on the sequel forever. The dark, gritty story with fairy tale creatures. The art style, I'm a sucker for a good Telltale game. The voice acting, I might just replay it now.
Good answer.
I was say, if we can convince somebody to pick this game up and play it, we've done our job.
Yeah. All right, well, that's great. Well, hey, it's nice that people responded to that, because I knew this is one of those games. I don't know if people have really played this one. It might have even turned you off a little bit when you heard it. It's like fairy tale characters, but it's pretty mature.
Might be why I didn't play it like originally.
Yep, dark and gritty.
Yeah.
I went off of reviews. I just kept seeing it get nothing but praise and say this is their best work, and I'm like, all right, I have to get it. It's just like I enjoy these games. I'm like, I really should get the one that they're all talking about. So I was like you, Dave. I'm like, like ever after that TV show, like I don't want to be like playing this game. Sounds like a romance, which it's not.
Wow. But I was not ready for the setting was. I mean, that's the best part of these games. We can get into that later.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Yeah, let's take a break. And I would say this is your fair warning, where we're gonna probably go right into spoiler territory.
Spoil the shit out of this game.
Yeah, especially getting into some moments in the game. But let's take a break and we'll come back, dig into it. And we're back in Act 2, or Episode 2, the way we can look at it. It's a lame joke.
Oh, God.
Dave will remember that.
This episode of the podcast is episodic. We'll release the next chunk in a couple weeks.
We'll do 5 of these throughout this episode. Now, The Wolf Among Us came out of nowhere. People liked it. I was one of those people. I played it back in the day. I liked it. I want to do it again. So here we are. We're talking about it. You guys have not played this. You're all reacting to it. I want to get into this.
I just want to say... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Well, I just waited to go over the plot, so get it out.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm kind of mad at myself for waiting this long to get into TellTale Games, because I love these type of games. Like narrative-driven, story-driven, like choice-driven games, but I always wrote off TellTale for some reason. As like, you always heard about the jankiness and how the engine wasn't really that great, and they were all, they just felt old. But
they all just felt the same.
It's
not. I think that was the only complaint.
It's not about the gameplay though. Like the whole hook here is making choices and seeing the outcome of those choices. And
really cool stories, really fun
really
stories
good.
And characters.
Because I mean, like I said, I love narrative-driven games. I say what you will about David Cage, he's a douchebag, but I really like Quantic Dreams games. Like Heavy Rain was one of my favorite games for a really, really long time, because I love the story in that game, and I love the choices, and I love that your choices have consequences.
That one's good.
A big fan of that game, just because your choices feel weighty and they feel like they have consequences, and if you mess up or make a mistake, like you have to deal with those consequences. And that is just what I love about these games. And I'm mad at myself for not giving TellTale Games a better chance, because there is some really great story here.
You made them bankrupt.
It was all my fault.
It was interesting. I mean, now we look back at their unique place in the game market, and nobody else was really doing it. And they were getting like good reviews on those earlier games, and they had heavyweight franchises. They got Game of Thrones.
They have huge licenses.
Really liked the Game of Dave. You remember the first episode?
Yeah, they never finished.
Like, pretty shocking. No, the company closed, so they didn't finish.
I think I would go.
But the Batman games are good.
I think I would have went insane if I played this when it first came out and having to wait for that next episode, because the story is so good and it leaves you on a cliffhanger, and I'm just like, I need to see what happens next.
Yeah,
it's like
the first episode.
The whole time I was playing this game, it's like that, that feeling you get when you watch a really, really good TV show and you're like thinking about it all day and you can't wait to get back to it and see what happens next in the story. Yes. There's a lot of times where I'm thinking about it in the back of my mind. I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch that show later. And then I'm like, no, wait, I'm playing a game. It's The Wolf Among Us. And I'm like, shit, this story is really
I'm glad that you
good.
brought that up. I like this hybrid, because in my life, I don't know, it's just, especially with the show, I'm sorry, with the podcast, our show, we bounce around a lot. And I feel like this is a really cool blend of the two, where I feel like I just watched a TV show.
Yes.
But I feel like I played an indie game. And the controls aren't that amazing, but it's about the story and the artwork and all this stuff. And I feel that this game was just like a fun hybrid for me. And I who knows? I mean, at this point, I feel feel like Telltale might make a comeback on the show. But before we get into the plot, is there anything else you guys want to kind of say about revisiting this classic style or this bygone era of Telltale?
Yeah,
right. There's nobody really doing these right now either.
Right.
It's like it's like
kind
a
of
narrative
shocking.
driven plus like point and click almost, with some of the environment stuff.
Yeah, and I didn't think it looked bad. I was playing it on the 4K OLED, and I thought it looked just fine. But the way that they kind of use the environments and the settings to hide a lot of stuff,
that, and it's a testament to the art style too. Like it holds
artwork.
up.
Yeah,
it's timeless.
Like the camera shots they do, where
Very good.
they don't show somebody opening the door; they'll pan up to the top, so they don't have to show certain things. It's just they find good ways to work around the technology that they have, I guess, technically. But
I think the artwork does age well. I also think that the gameplay for this game specifically ages well because you're a friggin' detective.
Well, if you look at the new trailer, it looks the same, but it just looks sharper and smoother.
Much smoother with the animations.
But the art style is exactly the same. The colors, yes. Oh my god. The
contrast and the colors, it's just pink. I hope you like the color pink, man.
Because are used so well, yeah.
Dark environments. It's got that old detective noir feel to this one, which I don't know. It just makes it even better. But the thing
neon light colors or something.
The Telltale game thing where I think it struggled with a lot of their games is you don't want to make a choice and just end up at the same point at the end. You're going to choose to save this person or this person, but you get out anyways, regardless, the story goes on and you might get some of their side story. This one feels like the way that it ended, it could have gone any number of ways based on who lives, who dies. And they make a lot of references to choices I make. Well, and I'm thinking to myself, well, what if I didn't rip out Tweedledee's throat?
Right. That's why I can't wait till I hear what you guys did and the choices you guys made throughout.
The Council of the Crooked Man or whatever. Right at the end, who shows up is here's all the choices you've made, but they're represented by people. And
there might not be a console depending on what choice you made.
Yeah. All right.
Well, yeah. Well,
I was wondering who, if anyone killed him at the end.
That's what I was referencing. But
oh shit! All right, we'll put a pin in that. Eric, would you mind then? Let's just get into sum up the plot. What is this game?
Yeah,
where are we?
Like Dave said, it's kind of like a neo-noir type mystery drama. You play as Big B Wolf is the main character, who is the big bad wolf, and essentially it revolves around these fairy tales who were ripped from their stories and placed into this place called Fabletown, which is in the middle of New York City. And the whole thing is that they're sort of in hiding because they have to keep themselves hidden from the Mundies, which are just regular humans.
Mundies?
They're called the Mundies.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
What? They say that 100 times throughout the game. Yeah, they're called Mundies, mundane people. They're Mundies.
Gross.
Yeah. But they have this drug called Glamour, which basically hides any features of their fairy tale persona and makes them look like regular humans. So while some fairy tales don't need glamour because they already look like humans. Like Snow White, the real Snow White, doesn't need glamour because she already looks like a human. But someone like Toad or Colin, they're animals. They need the glamour to disguise their form, their true forms. And
correct.
Even Big B,
correct.
His true form is, the big ass wolf that we see at the end, and he's disguising himself to look like he does in the game. And yeah, the case with Snow White, which what was her name? It was Holly's sister,
Lily.
Lily, yes,
right?
Yep. She's one of the
trolls.
Yes, one of the trolls. She disguises herself as Snow White, and the glamour is what disguises their true form, essentially. Which the whole point of the glamour is to hide from the humans, because the humans get freaked out when they see fairy tale creatures.
I did some research, and the reason why all this is going on is because a long time ago, the fairy tale characters were centuries ago. They were just doing their own thing. the stories that we know. And all of a sudden, some evil power came through their land and started wiping them out and pushed them out. So they either die or leave. And what they did is they came to our world, and it just happens to be that they all went to like Manhattan, in an area of Manhattan, and they have all their witches like using magic to block them and hide them from anybody. So anybody that goes by, it kind of like just takes over their brain or whatever.
Well,
but anyways, but the people that got through, like everybody, all the fairy tale characters or whatever that made it through to our world, like you said, some of them were frogs, some of them were human. Well, the humans don't have to worry about glamour, but the frogs do. Well, that's and it's expensive.
Thing. Yes, it's expensive.
So there's classes going on.
Classism, and like anyone who can't afford the glamour, anyone that looks like a fucking frog dude or a pig, they're supposed to get sent to the farm. Yes, which we don't know. The farm is referenced a bunch of times, and they have it like a description of it in the
it's like upstate New York.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like an idyllic. Well, it's supposed to be
boring,
like
though.
An idyllic little haven for these fairy tale creatures, but they reference in like the I don't know what it was called, like the compendium of all the things you can view in the game.
The fairy tale book, yeah.
Yeah, the fairy tale book. The description was like, oh yeah, it's nice, but you can never leave. You can never escape.
Colin keeps sneaking out somehow.
Colin is he's a slippery one. I let him stay in the end. I don't know about you guys, but
of course,
I felt bad,
buddy.
Him.
I don't know about Toad.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can keep Toad, but this is like the story pushing the different classes. Like, see, like this guy doesn't want to go, and he has his kid, and no matter what, he's going. But you can save Colin, will you or won't you, kind of thing. So I think it's just kind of enforced that.
Yeah, like Brandon said, if you notice, the classes, all the like rich, higher up people who live in the nice apartments, they're all humans. Beauty, Beast. I mean, he can have his human form, but Snow White, all those people are in like the higher.
Yeah, Ichabod Crane.
But all the people like the trolls,
Bluebeard,
the frogs, the pigs, they're all low tier because they can't afford the glamour. Like
right.
in the beginning, they paid for it, but they went broke essentially trying to pay for it, and now they're like living in the slums.
That's what I was thinking. Like, do they run out eventually? We know that the one chick died, and then when they took it off of her, she turned back into a troll. But like, I'm assuming Mr. Toad had it at some point. Yeah,
he did, but he couldn't afford it anymore. There's recipes for different glamours, so you can basically look like whoever you want to look like, and that was the whole thing with like the Snow White impersonator.
The black market wasn't as good, so they were getting some things wrong because it wasn't as good of.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, for some of the creatures, that was the only place they could get it, is turning to illegal glamour.
I have a bombshell to drop on you guys. I just don't know when, but right now I'm going to tease that because I feel like I think you guys are going to really like this one. I think this is what makes the game really interesting. But anyways, but yeah, there's classism. I mean, that's the plot, right? So, well, not the plot, but like that's our setting. But the plot is somebody's like going around killing these low level fantasy characters.
Yeah, the plot is like
there's a murder on the loose.
The first murder, which is Faith.
And you're a detective.
Yep. This Faith is a girl you meet in the beginning in episode 1, and you save her from the woodsman because he's beating on her for whatever reason. And yeah, she ends up dead. That's the cliffhanger at the end of episode 1, is she her head shows up.
It's a great cliffhanger too, though.
Yeah, the police station.
Like Lilith, right?
Because they introduce like some of the characters, and you get into the big fight with the woodsman, which was super cool. But then, like, you don't really know where the story's going until the end of chapter 1, and finding a head on your front doorstep is certainly a kickoff, I guess, to the story.
I like that fight too, where Big B and the woodsman are going at it. And then eventually you bury an axe, the woodsman's axe, in his head. Mm-hmm. And you're like, wait a minute, did I just kill the guy? But because it's like a superhero, it's like it doesn't work because they're immortal. Although this is kind of weird. This rule's weird.
Well, I think some of them are harder to kill than others. Like I think it depends.
Like Silver kills like Big B.
I think it depends on the fairy or on the fable itself of how easy it is to kill.
Right, a ribbon,
Mhm.
stuff like that. Okay.
Well, that's, I mean, anybody can have the ribbon.
All the women had ribbons in this movie or this game, I thought.
No, just the ones that were
All the
under
ones at the
under
pudding, all the
control.
ones at the pudding and pie. Yeah, yeah. That was like the sign of the spell that was cast over all the women. My lips are sealed.
So that was a hell of a first episode, though. Like, I think that's great. Like you said, the cliffhanger, and also like
Great
the
way
way
to
it like
kick it
ends
off,
with
yeah.
that lighter. That was really cool. And then the music kicks in. That I love that theme song every time. Like, I was just like, this is a great tune. It's like, what's that show with the kids? Stranger Things. You can't tell me that those guys were influenced by this theme song. I mean, like, come on. It just feels, because this game takes place in the 80s too, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like the phone that he picks up at Beauty
Right,
and
I
the
did
Beast
notice
apartment,
that
it's old. Like the car shapes are old looking.
Right.
There's no internet, no cell phones. It seems like it was the 80s.
Oh, we already got that.
That sounds accurate.
The cliff. Yeah, we already got that wrong for episode 1. Faith is not the cliffhanger. The cliffhanger is you think Snow White is dead at the end of episode 1.
Oh, that's right. Which is so good.
Yes.
Which is so good. Yeah. No, that was great. I was just like, oh my god. Wait, I thought Snow White was like, this is getting insane. This is gonna be great.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'll say the second episode is fine, but I think Snow White should have been missing throughout episode 2. She just shows up when you're interrogating.
She shows up really quick after.
Yeah, and she
She probably just woke up and
quick.
got to work. She was just getting to work
Right.
in the morning, like just a regular day.
I get it for the purposes of the story and also how these games were released, because you end on that cliffhanger of episode 1 and then you're like, what the fuck? And then you have to wait a month or however long for the next episode to come out. So you're just thinking about all the possibilities of what could happen.
Okay, but in episode 1, then where did you guys go? Because I went to the Toad guy's house, and I saw Tweedledum or whatever
After
Tweedledee
after
upstairs.
they found Faith, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
You went
can go
back to her apartment.
either way.
I went back to her to Faith's, or to Toad's apartment, which Faith's apartment is up there.
Yeah, yes, that's where I went. Yep.
Yep. I
The,
went to Toad's.
the other guy was Lawrence, and I thought he was already dead.
Wait, so we all went to Toad's first?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so I think if you go to her, the husband's house, or the
Lawrence's
husband's place
house.
first. Yeah, Lawrence's place.
You probably save
Then-
him.
You can
save
save
him.
him. You can save
Yeah.
him. Yes.
Whoops.
Prince Lawrence died for all of us, which
Yeah.
it happens.
He did. Yeah. I wonder if he's a bigger character in the story if you actually are able to save him.
Or you,
But either decision you make, though, is going to take you to interrogating Tweedledee, right?
Yeah, that's in the beginning of episode 2.
Okay.
episode 1 ends with the trip trap, and you end up running into the woodsman, and then one of the Tweedles walks in, and then you have to choose who to arrest.
Okay.
Basically,
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
I arrested the
whole
woodsman, which
Oh, I
Probably
arrested
dumb.
D.
I didn't see any blood on D, so I didn't. Like, oh, he's just an asshole. So
Oh, so that's who you had in your interrogation. You had the woodsman.
You had Woody?
yeah, I had the woodsman in my interrogation.
Oh, so that's
Okay,
sweet.
yeah,
dude.
how did that
Okay.
go?
All right, my
'Cause,
bad.
yeah.
I'm assuming that we all just end up going to Tweedledee, but okay. So yeah, you had woodsman. What'd you do? I was a pacifist in this game. I was so nice to everybody. I didn't kill anybody. I was just like, I'm gonna withstand Snow's policy, which is we're not like them. We're better.
I almost want to play through a whole nother playthrough, because you know how you always have the option to say nothing? I really want to know what it's like if you say nothing for every single choice.
Just a silent protagonist.
Yes. I'm really curious.
It's gotta be an achievement.
What the
It's gotta be an
outcome would
achievement.
be if you said nothing for every single choice.
Oh, I mean, you'd have
That's
to eventually
hilarious.
choose, like right here, you'd have to choose to arrest the woodsman or
Right. There is some binary choices where you have to choose
those are the big
something.
ones.
But
Which,
yeah, saying
like-
nothing through the entire game.
So yeah, I beat the shit out of the woodsman in the interrogation.
Oh,
And-
Dave's
Yeah,
the
they-
violent cop, the bad cop.
I'm just trying to get some things done. I'm trying to get some goddamn answers around here. So
Well,
yeah,
in the
Snow
beginning,
didn't appreciate it, and they ended up bringing that up in the trial way at the end of the game. How I beat my prisoner, you know. So there's a little line in there about that. But,
Yeah, because
Dave, you thought the woodsman was the killer, though. Like, you thought Snow White and
I knew he knew something.
Faith died.
In the beginning, I was fingering
he's got a goddamn axe.
the woodsman as Faith's killer, but then, like, after we met up at the Trip Trap, I'm like, I'm not so sure, which is why I went for D after that. Because, like, obviously you're going to suspect the woodsman at first because he was there with Faith, and he was knocking the shit out of her, so I suspected him first, but then I'm like, okay, he just seems like he's wrong place, wrong time, so I went for D instead.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy has to be a really good liar, if he is not telling the truth.
So why did D have the blood all over him when you chase him? You chase him, you hunt him down, you do the little drive with Ichabod there, and then you do the interrogation. Why did he have the blood on him?
I'm assuming Lawrence's house.
Yeah.
Nice. So then you find out Snow's alive after I beat my prisoner.
Yeah, she comes in.
After I
like, hey guys, what's going on? So, whoopsie daisy, I may have beaten a prisoner. He was fine though. Didn't do anything too bad.
But a lot of the stuff that, like, when you meet these characters, it all leads to you learning about there's a black market glamour out there. Somebody's killing these women. One of them turns out to be Holly's sister, and so she's kind of a main character because her and her entourage at the bar just make a lot of appearances, but that her sister Lily dies, and you could see this is more about the character of Snow White, and it's pushing just like this world that, like, something's corrupt, something's going on. And everybody's angry that nothing's getting done because, like, nobody's taking care of the lower class.
Right. Holly and her crew are, like, the representatives of the lower class, essentially.
Right. And it's interesting, man. Like, I don't know how much, like, you guys looked at, like, who likes this game, but from my research, but, like, from my perspective, like, what I've seen though is that the LGBTQ community likes this game. And I was thinking about, like, man, a lot of them really like this game, and I wonder why. And then as I'm playing this game, I can only imagine that they probably relate to the second class kind of theme, and then how people who are gay versus people who are trans, very different. And that they have to, one has to do so much more to fit in.
Right.
And I was just thinking about,
and the concept of, like, hiding who you truly are.
Hiding. Yeah, exactly. So I was just thinking about, like, I get it now. Like, I think that's why this game means something to probably that community. I could be wrong, but it was just something I was observing.
Makes sense. Yeah, absolutely.
But this game, the themes are what's great, and that's why I like the stuff with Holly. It might seem unnecessary, but they're just trying to enforce that there is a second class.
It
trolls
fleshes out
and
the
mermaids
world a lot more than, like, if it was a black and white, like, oh, we're trying to solve this murder. It's how all these actions affect the people down below, the people in the streets, the people who are living a little bit harder lives than all the people in the luxury apartments. But yeah, everybody's got to do what they can.
And forgive and forget, right? Like, Big B is trying to do good, and everybody's giving him shit because he was the bad wolf. And then I was like, what is the story? So I looked into that, like, what is it, the appendix, or what is that thing that they had?
Well, he literally killed, like, thousands of people.
I looked at his story.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
So I looked at it, and it's like they kind of mention it in the game, but his father was the Northern Wind.
Yes. That's where he gets his huff and puff
and
powers.
And it fell in love for a brief moment with a giant white wolf, his mother, the white wolf, or
Winter Wolf, I think was her name.
Winter Wolf or something, yeah. But then he ditched her, and she had all these pups, and then the big bad wolf, Big B, he was like the runt of the group, and she left him, and the mother dies, and the other brothers and whatever
all of his siblings left.
Yeah. Oh, so you looked at this? Yeah,
I did.
That was
I read
a pretty
this.
cool story.
I read a lot. I read through a lot of that stuff.
So, okay, yeah, it was great. I love when the game makes me want to do that. And to survive, he was all alone. He was abandoned. He's like, well, I'm not going to leave my mother's corpse here, so I'm going to keep it alive and fight things off. But he couldn't, so he had to start small. And what happened was, first he was like attacking like grasshoppers, and then mice, and then rabbits, and then deer, and he kept going bigger and bigger and bigger. And then he got really angry, and he wanted to go after the Northern Wind for leaving his mother, and he got his ass whooped. The Northern Wind just kicked his ass. But he had all this anger and ability to kill, so he just terrorized the lands. So that's why he was doing the things he was doing in like the Three Little Pigs and the Little Red Riding Hood.
He was just going around like massacring.
And everybody remembers this.
Yeah.
So he's like this thug from like centuries ago, and they're like, "I want my cop now."
I mean, he's in Fairy Tale Land. He's basically a serial killer. You know, that's what it is. And now he's a cop in this Fable Town. So I can get why
Which
people
Bluebeard
don't
was
trust
too, though.
him. Yeah.
Well, who was Bluebeard? I thought it was like he was the genie or something.
No, he was a serial killer. He used to kill his wife.
Yeah, he's like a super rich dude. Yeah, who killed his wife essentially.
Oh,
he's like a serial killer.
For some reason, his wealth carried over. Unlike Beauty and the Beast, their wealth did not carry over, but his carried over, and he's filthy rich. So he's just part of the. I don't know what his exact title is.
Because there was a little reference to a genie lamp in Ichabod Crane's office, so I just assumed he was just like the genie because he had that like sharp little goatee, and I'm like, I could see him as a blue genie, sure.
I liked
idea.
the genie lamp. The genie lamp was funny. If you interact with it, Bigby just rubs it, and he's like, nothing happens. He's like, well, it's worth a try.
Yeah. I like the Griffin character or whatever that thing is from Wizard of Oz.
The
what
blue
fuck was
monkey
his
guy.
name?
He's just getting drunk all the time. He was helpful.
Yeah, he's funny. I liked him, and I liked the mirror. I liked all that stuff. I thought that was fun. That felt fairy tale, but it was like cool because I'm a detective.
I don't know. That's why I thought
Yeah.
the whole thing was cool because I knew nothing about the comics. I knew it bases it. Everybody has like a foundation of fairy tales in the back of their head somewhere, but like, you know, it gives it a little bit of grounding, so you kind of know a little bit about these characters as you find out who they are.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Which makes and then that makes their interactions more interesting because you know there's some history behind it and some of that stuff.
Did any of you guys ever watch that ABC show Once Upon a Time?
That's what it's called. No, it's so lame, dude.
I was actually into it for a while, but then like with every other show that goes on for too long, it gets like stupid and weird. But honestly, the first couple seasons were pretty good. I mean, it's an ABC show, it's a cable television show, so yeah, you get that a little bit of cheesiness and hokiness, but I think they treat the fairy tales really well, and I was reminded a lot of that during this game. It's like a darker, grittier version of that show, which I really
It just
liked.
seems like it's just safe. Like this had heart, but it also had violence, and it also had just fun character. Like the Toad guy was hilarious.
Toad was great. I
He's
thought
just so miserable.
I thought Toad's voice was actually the narrator from the Stanley Parable. Like he sounded a lot like him, but I looked it up and it was not. I was disappointed, but no,
the
I
voice
thought
acting
Toad
was good in this.
All the voice acting was great in this. But yeah, there's some really cool and interesting characters in this game.
So, did you guys read on Georgie Porgy?
I don't know the actual like story of Georgie Porgy, but
I guess he would have been a fable. What is his?
Wow, I was asking you. You guys read the book.
Oh, I thought you had. Like,
I know. I thought you had a story.
Damn, what a tease. Yeah, I didn't know him, but I knew everybody else.
I read his
English
entry.
Nursery rhyme. Ready? Georgie Porgy, pudding and pie, kissed the girls and made them cry. When the girls came out to play, Georgie Porgy ran away.
There you go.
It's
weird.
And then he turned into that.
They made a strip club pudding and pie though. That's hilarious. It's hilarious.
It's not. I like the mix that they have in this game because it's not purely fairy tale like Grimm's Brothers fairy tales or anything. It's a mix of like there's like cryptozoology with the Jersey Devil and like nursery rhymes.
Yeah,
dude. Like there's a
Wizard of Oz character.
Yeah, there's a good combination of not just strictly like fairy tale characters. It's all like mythological.
I really think he was from Wizard of Oz. I thought that guy was just like some monkey.
Oh, Buffkin.
Yeah.
Buffkin's it says Wizard of Oz in the thing.
Really?
Mhm.
Nice.
In the game. If you go in the game and actually look at all the characters, I read them all. After I finished the game, I was like, I don't know why I'm doing now, but like I did after I finished the game.
Yeah, I
like,
read through a couple, but yeah, when I finished, I was like reading through a bunch of them. But they're well written, and they give context to a lot of different characters.
Yeah, definitely from Oz. Yeah, Flying Monkey. No shit.
Okay, yeah, so they kind of created a whole backstory just based on that nursery rhyme, which is kind of cool. Because yeah, I mean, his backstory based on what was in like the Fable book that I read was like him, and what was the girl with the ribbons name? I forgot her name.
Narissa?
No, that was a Little Mermaid.
That's a Little Mermaid.
Whatever her name was. They were like together in fairy tale land, and they had this dream of like going to Fabletown and starting this strip club, and so like they had this dream in mind. Yeah, exactly. Because they pretty much came up from nothing. They didn't have much back when they were in fairy tale land, so they kind of wanted to make something out of themselves when they came over.
For achieving his dream, he's kind of a prick.
Vivian, yeah.
We should know her name because she's actually like one of the big plot points, because like there's this building mystery, which I like when games can do this, where there's a mystery, and I'm gonna, like I said, there's a bombshell I want to drop in you guys, but like you're chasing this killer, turns out to be the Crooked Man, right? But it's not really him, because he's like influencing,
like the Godfather.
He's like kind of exploiting everybody.
Well,
yeah,
your first like solid evidence is you think it's Crane. Like that's the first one that's like, okay, we have
the red herring or whatever.
Right, exactly, because you get the photographic evidence of him with Lily, like not on the night she died, but like we knew we knew he was associated with her, and
he's just a creep though.
He's just a creep, yeah. But you think like
he's just using glamour to make them look like Snow White so he can have sex with them. Disgusting.
Right. So, but we're thinking like, okay, Crane's the murderer, but really he was framed essentially to take the fall for everything. But yeah, throughout the entire game, I was like going back and forth, like there, like Brandon, like you said, Brandon, like there's this overarching mystery, like what is really going on here? Like even when you find out it's the Crooked Man, you're still like, there's something that doesn't quite add up with everything. Like what is the connection between the Crooked Man and these strippers? You know, everything comes together at the end, but throughout the entire game, it's like you're just trying to make all these connections to different characters, and yeah, I kept me on the hook through the whole game.
Narissa is the Little Mermaid, and she's throughout the game. And
why is her name Narissa and not Ariel?
That might be a Disney thing.
I don't know the original.
Yeah, I don't know who Narissa is.
Or could just be her stage name.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Narissa.
But I like that they planted her in. You're thinking, like, why does she keep bothering Bigby? Like, what is her deal? Like, why does she keep coming to visit? Like, she doesn't pan out to anything. But then, like, later on in the game, she says that she had to, like, give him the hints, right?
Okay, I have an answer if you're curious. In the original story, Little Mermaid didn't have a name. Ariel is Disney's name for her. Narissa is Telltale's name for her. That's it.
Okay, that makes sense. But but anyways, yeah. So Narissa does turn out to be a big character. The Crooked Man turns out to be a big character. Georgie, and Vivian, and they all play these parts that affect all the things that you as the character is trying to figure out what's going on with these women in their heads. Who's killing these people? I like how it does actually land, even though you're making these big, crazy decisions, which is like ripping people's arms off or killing them or whatever. I didn't kill anybody, by the way. Did anybody kill?
I killed one person.
Who'd you kill?
I killed
Tweedledum.
Dumb. Yep. I ripped his throat out when I was going wolf.
My first playthrough, I did as well. I was like, "Fuck these thugs."
Yeah, I was like, I'm in the moment. I feel like I was more role playing Bigby's character in that moment. Like he was seeing red and he was like enraged. He had no control over what he was doing, and I'm like, I think Bigby would have ripped his throat out at this moment. It would have been a mistake and he would have felt bad about it, but I think this is what he would have done in this moment. So. So I mean, I don't know how we all got there. I don't know if it's all the same. But for Georgie, for me, he got stabbed when we were in the Crooked Man's lair, and he was injured. And then I chased him all the way to the strip club. He spilled his guts, literally, on everything that he did and the Crooked Man did. And then he was dying, laying on the floor, and he's like, I basically just ended it for him. Like, mercy killed him.
I did not. No,
That was one of the
parts.
Bleed out.
That was one of the parts that fuck yeah. I'm a badass in the Fable Town. But, after the whole Crooked Man encounter where you're like, he's got all his thugs there, you're kind of, it's your chance to, he's behind everything. So he's like the main target at the top of the pyramid who's kind of pulling all the strings.
You let him bleed out, David?
But no, when you're doing that chase scene as the wolf chasing after Georgie, I noticed that when you land on Georgie's car, you look over and you see the Crooked Man in his limo, and then he turns around a corner and drives away. And you had a choice at that point where you could pick which car to jump on. So I did it on Georgie.
I went on Georgie's car, but I did it accidentally.
Well, I wanted to arrest the.
So did I. I didn't know that was the Crooked Man's car. I was like, oh, I'm chasing Georgie, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, exactly. I was just picking because
I didn't realize it was. Yeah, I didn't realize it was the Crooked Man.
So you get to the pudding and pie when you jump on Georgie's car, and he's up and alive on his chair, and his chick's alive with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Vivian. Yeah.
And I was like, this is not what I wanted to do, and this is the only time I did it. I went and I restarted that episode because I made all the exact same choices except I just jumped on the Crooked Man's car.
Okay.
So
how'd that
so you ride on the car for a second, Bloody Mary slams on the brakes, you go flying off, and then she runs you over, and then you wake up, and then you just go to the pudding and pie, and you end up there.
Oh,
but it's after a longer time. So when I got there the first time, it was Georgie and his chick, and she was helping him out, and blah blah blah. When I got there the second time after the Crooked Man, she was already dead, and her head was popped off, and Georgie was lying on the ground, and he was all sad, like he was asking for me to kill him.
So it does end the same essentially, but
yeah. Does he tell you that she's like, oh, she was the reason why everybody was putting ribbons on their throats, or
right?
No, Narissa shows up at the gathering at the end by the well, and she kind of spills
because Narissa does reiterate it at the end.
Oh, clever TellTale. Okay, well that's whatever. That's cool. I mean,
so it kind of ends up in the same point, but it's still
So wait, what?
I would have never known that though. That's a cool little difference in the story.
Yeah, so I'll say going on Georgie's car is the better of the two then, because you
seems
get run over. It's like Bilbo going to the battle at the end of the fight, and then he gets knocked out.
Yeah, it seems like you
just miss it. You miss
some of the backstory, because you get the whole spiel with Georgie explaining everything, and then you also get a little bit of backstory of Georgie and Vivian's relationship, because you can tell that they actually have a legitimate
and it also kind of, not that it redeems Georgie, but why Georgie did it. It was to save her. It was the love of his life, and he killed these people because he
said
that was the reason why.
Does
he
she
did
die?
I'd do it again. I'd fucking do it again.
Right?
Does she die in that scene?
She does die. Yes.
No matter what, she's just gonna pull that ribbon.
She pulls off her, and then her head just.
She's killed.
Does Georgie
by grief?
Georgie die first then?
No.
Vivian pulls it, and then Georgie just kind of
gives up in life and
loses all will to live. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he was already there when I found him, so I just let him continue.
I really wonder what would happen.
Bag.
Do you remember when Narissa comes to your office? I forget what chapter it was, but she comes and she's trying to help you, but her lips are sealed. She can't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when she points you in the direction to go to Beauty and Beast's apartment. There's an option in one of those to pull her ribbon off, without asking her or anything.
Oh, that's right. She would have slapped.
I didn't do that.
She would have slapped your hand, I think.
Yeah, there is that ending I want to talk about though. So
wait, before we get there,
yeah, please.
There's one choice that I actually legitimately felt bad about and regret doing, and it's burning Auntie Greenleaf's tree.
Oh, you asshole.
I saved it.
I burned her tree. Okay, this is what I want to know. I burned her tree, and I felt instantly bad about it. And I'm like, no.
You wanted Snow White to be happy with you.
I did. I was like, I don't know.
Snow White's not perfect.
I didn't want Snow to be angry, but as soon as I did it, I'm like, no, I didn't. I don't want to.
Who am I? Why did
I just lived with it?
In my head, I'm thinking, like, you got this chick that's making all these things. Why not just hire her for the department and give people the glamours? Like, it shouldn't be something that people are charged with. It should be something that their government, a service that their government provides for them. Like, they shouldn't have to pay out of pocket and expect people to get all these glamours. It should be like going to the Social Security office.
So how does that,
have her working for, in the ministry of magic with everybody else. And
I don't
doing
think
it as like a service.
Yeah, like you said, I don't think glamour should be a luxury. It's like a necessity. They should provide it.
It is a necessity to them, and absolutely, for sure.
Do you actually end up hiring her, and like she starts working for you?
That's what I wanted.
Interesting.
That's what my plan was. They do bring it up at the council at the end too.
No, she was pissed. She was pissed that I burned her tree, but I ended up. I mean, I won her over, because I forget what it was. I was really good at winning over the crowd at the end there, though.
I'm sure she did when she burned my tree.
You were role playing again.
I regretted it instantly.
You're a big bad
shit. Shouldn't have done that. But oh well. She ended up siding with us at the end. So.
Hey, can we? I was gonna say, can we hit on the Bloody Mary character for a little bit? We haven't touched her at all.
Intense.
And while I think her acting isn't the best, I think she's the weakest actor out of everyone in the game. Because I actually enjoyed everyone's actor, even the kid Toad. But it was okay. But the character itself was very sweet. Like, I loved that character.
The character's cool. I wish they used her a little bit better. Like, she just she shows up at the end of chapter 3, I think it is, when you got the big fight, and you turn into the wolf.
Yeah, that was fucking dope.
That's why I killed Dumb. But like, She shows up and she doesn't really. That's your first inclination that, like, something bigger is going on here. It's not just Crane. But yeah, I don't know. She doesn't show up all that much. Like, she's kind of in the background. Like, she's used as the Crooked Man's main muscle or whatever.
They just kind of set her up as like the big bad that can equal Big B's muscle,
right?
She took him down
pretty
once, powerful up until if he's not being shot in the back with silver bullets, but if he's actually like in a fair fight, but if he's full on wolf mode, he seems pretty invincible at that point.
That's
his
true form.
That's when he blew the wind and blew away all the different versions of her. And I thought that was like a really cool scene. But yeah. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Like,
well, I was like,
gotta have some action in this game.
You had to have the classic. I mean, he's the big bad wolf, and what he does is huff and puff and blows. And I'm like, that's got to be in here somewhere.
Right, exactly. But it wasn't cheesy.
And he's smoking the huff and puffs, throughout the game, which is funny. That's like his brand of cigarettes.
Yeah.
He's the only one. He's the only one who smokes them because he offers one. I offered one to Woody at one point, the woodsman, but the woodsman was like, "This is a shit brand."
Wait, when the Crooked Man asked you guys to sit down, what did you guys do?
Oh, I smoked.
Same.
I did smoke as well. Yeah, that's exactly what Big B would do. Just light up a cigarette.
I love how it ends when you just light the thing and doesn't.
I love that. That's the end of that episode.
Yep.
I'm waiting for your bombshell, Brandon.
So you do the Crooked Man, right, kind of thing, and we all, I think, made different decisions there. So one of us killed him, right?
No, I don't think any of us killed him.
I didn't kill him.
No, we all arrested him and brought him to the well, not the wishing well. What is it?
I meant the
witching well.
The only reason I mentioned it was because I was hoping that somebody did, because I wanted to know what would happen.
Oh.
Especially if Georgie Porgy dies and you kill the Crooked Man. I'm like, that's not a good look. Like, I don't think things would go over well. I mean, nobody chucked him down the well.
I was close.
No, I did not.
I don't know. What is the witching well? Did anyone read
that?
that?
Basically, I did. Yeah. It's like a bottom. Well, it's not. I don't know if it's bottomless, but nobody knows what's at the bottom of it. Essentially, Like you throw
It's like purgatory.
shit down there,
We don't know.
and it never
unknown.
comes back. Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody knows what's down there.
So that's where they banish like really bad criminals, stuff like that, or like dead bodies. Like if you die, they also throw. So somewhere out there, if there is like a portal to some place, dead bodies will be chucked out, or a criminal.
Garbage pile. Just, you don't got to take your garbage, wait for garbage day. Just chuck it in the witching well.
Yeah, but I would like for these things to be explored in the sequel. Like like there's a scene where like you get thrown down the witching well, and like maybe you see the other end. I don't know.
I was just reading up on what happens if you actually do kill the crooked man in the warehouse.
Yeah, what happens?
Basically the same kind of thing happens, but everybody just fears you. Like nobody thinks that
Because you go around killing.
Right. Like, because
Judge Dredd.
So everybody looks at you the same, they think you're not performing your duties, but there's still a trial and he's still like, they still say like, oh, he's guilty of all this shit. And then you have another option to kill him if you bring him back to trial, because you had the option to rip his head off, throw him down the well, or lock him up. And if you rip his head off, you kill him right away, and then all the people will just fear you. And like, because if you lock him up, at the end you get the whole thing of like, people are starting to come around on Bigby because he's trying to do the right thing. They're starting to see that he's changed since Fairy Tale Land. I really hope that they do a sort of Mass Effect thing where they take your save and implement your choices in the sequel, because at the end I ran after Narissa when she's leaving, because like he's thinking of all these things in his mind and he's making some connection, but we don't know what that is. Like you run after her and then it just cuts to black and that's it. So I really want to know like what was he thinking? What was he going to say to her?
That's the little cliffhanger. Because that's what she says to him. She says, "You're really not as..."
Well, hold on a second. We will, but hold on. I want to say one thing. When I first go through the teleporting door and I go to meet the Crooked Man, you encounter little Tiny Tim. And dude, I thought Tiny Tim was the Crooked Man. I was so mean to him.
Oh, you dick!
And
Tiny Tim.
I thought I thought it was like the thing where like the host is actually like the guy. He's just like is acting like I thought he was something that was afoot. I'm like,
you're just a dick.
So I was so mean to him. He's like, hey, it's like Bigby, wait. It's like this is my only job. Like, don't go in without me. I want to look
You're
bad.
such a dick.
And I'm like, I just like left him behind, and I was just like, and then the Crooked Man was there, and I'm like, oh fuck, sorry.
No, I was
Sorry,
so
Tiny Tim.
nice to Tiny Tim.
Tim, what the hell are you doing here?
Good evening, Sheriff. I'm here to take you to the boss. Thanks, by the way, for leaving off Tiny Tim. You'd think I'd have outgrown that centuries ago. I have to admit, when they asked me to watch the door, I wasn't sure what to expect when you came through that portal. But I get it. You're not here on a social call.
What is this place? Or where is it? I know I'm not in Central Park anymore.
I'm not sure. I've only ever come in through one of the portals. I don't think you can get in from the actual street. But you can't blame him for wanting to make it hard to find. I'm supposed to bring you right on in, so if you'll come this way. Look, this is the one thing I have to do. Please don't make this hard on me.
Fine, lead on.
He's the one that greets you.
I think,
and then
I think he was just at the lair. Yeah.
Then
That
you
was
see him
his-
at the very
that
end
was
at
his
the
one job.
unemployment line or whatever. Because
Right.
everybody's unemployed, they're all mad at you. Because again, it's
The line
it's
at the
cyclical.
business office.
Like, hey, you
Yeah.
saved the town, you fought the bad guy, but guess what? None of these people have jobs. Georgie doesn't. None of those people that worked at Georgie's place have a job now, right?
Mhm.
All these people that work for Crooked Man don't have a job now. What are you gonna do?
No, I didn't get it was unemployment line. That was kind of. I gave Toad all that money I stole from Ichabod Crane.
I
so-
did too. I
I'm
did
like,
too.
dude,
I
didn't do
get your
shit.
shit together. Get your fucking glamour and stop
When is
being
there
a
an
deadbeat.
opportunity to give Toad money?
So when
I
you
took
go
it.
to the butcher, you go and you interrogate that asshole, and it turns out there's like a secret layer behind all that. That was cool looking too. But like
Yes.
when you're walking through the freezer and all that stuff,
Yeah.
and then you go to that back room, and then you're like, "What the fuck? You let him out, dude?" And he's like, "Well, yeah." I'm like, "These guys will kill me. I work for them. You don't understand. This is bigger than you." So, and then while you're investigating, you go into Ichabod's coat, and there's like 3 pockets. One of them has money. You keep that money. So when you see Toad later on, so when you go to meet Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk, he's at the dry cleaners or whatever that is, and he's talking to him there, and he's trying to sell the donkey suit. Toad is. So you offer the money at him there, and he says, "I don't want your fucking money." You didn't make that. So then I'm like, all right. So then I get to offer it again.
So did you go to the pawn shop first then?
Yeah.
I went to the butcher first.
I went to the butcher.
That's
first.
probably why.
No, I went to the butcher first too.
Okay. Well, I don't remember seeing Toad in the pawn shop.
I did. Yeah, Evan, that's what I did.
Because I don't think anybody... I think Jack was there, but he left. I don't know. I don't remember
when
seeing
you go...
Toad.
Okay. See, that's cool.
Because you see him at the ministry when he gets called in at the ministry. And Snow White says, go talk to Toad, and I'm going to talk to
I would have given
Bluebeard.
him money. But maybe I didn't take the money? I don't remember.
Well, I don't know. You see Toad if you go and interrogate Jack working at that pawn shop.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't take the money then, but he took it at
I must have not taken the money. Okay. Weird. But no, that's cool that we can have those differences.
Yeah.
But regardless, he should have got his goddamn glamour. What the hell, Toad?
Right? What do you use that money for? What are you doing?
Yeah, he's not a perfect character. You know,
Seems like he's a deadbeat.
He's a jerk.
He's kind of a dick to his kid too.
He's miserable. He's just miserable.
Mm-hmm.
He's tired of it. Single parent, it looks like.
I hope in The Wolf Among Us 2 we get to visit the farm and see Toad and TJ living a happy life.
Yeah. Do you let Colin out or no?
Still be hanging out as an apartment.
Cool. All this stuff kind of comes together at the end. I think that's why people like this, but it leaves just enough of a mystery at the end, which is what we're going to get into. So Nerissa kind of starts talking about, like, I was the one that was putting the heads there because you needed to know. I was kind of pushing you along because you wouldn't have done it if I didn't give you direct hints. And I'm sorry, but I had to do it. Like, she kind of knew more or less what was going on. She was kind of guiding Bigby. The thing is, this is the wild part.
Oh God!
Nerissa may not be who you think she is. Who did you meet? Was it the real Faith, or was it Nerissa putting something on? Which I think that's what it was. I think Nerissa acted as Faith, and that's why she said the same thing. You're not as bad as they think you are, or whatever. But which is like something that she just says.
So you're saying Faith, or the Faith we saw in the beginning of the game, was actually Nerissa
acting as
in the
Faith.
glamour. But why would she be doing that?
But Faith,
right?
We don't know.
Yeah,
but why would they do that? This is a speculation that everybody has.
Mm-hmm.
Or Faith was like that the whole time, but then there was glamour, and the Little Mermaid, Nerissa, she was glamored to look like Faith, and Faith got away scot-free, but it was Nerissa. Mm-hmm. We don't know because we never revisit it. Probably not that, because I'm sure the mortician doctor like guy would probably said something at this point, like, hey, because eventually Lily's body does change after some time.
When they take
I think Nerissa used the other two or something, and I think she acted as Faith. Faith, and Faith gets killed, and then Lily gets killed, and they both get fucked with the glamour, and I think Nerissa got away scot-free. I could be wrong,
I mean,
but
either way, if that is the case,
then she's a bad person. Then
Nerissa, either way, is the cause of both of their deaths, even if she did it accidentally or something else happened, Like, when it comes down to it, it was her fault.
But why? Why would they do any of that?
In case there's like another
to leave a mystery,
right? In case there's something. Why would they end the game like that? Like, that's the whole mystery. It could be just fuck with their brains for fun, but we'll figure it out in the next movie.
Drop a teaser on you like that, and just that's movies that end with a little cliffhanger like that are great because it keeps you thinking about them.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that they end it like this and then it doesn't come back around in the sequel.
That would be so cool if, like, Faith's there and she's like, I have no time to explain, but you need to help me out or something like that. Like, all right, here we go. Like, how are you alive? You know,
Right.
Snow
I
White's
could
like,
see
this
that
doesn't make
happening.
any sense. You know, Buffkin's like, I'll go and consult the mirror. You know,
Well, yeah, something happens because like I said, I watched the trailers today, and like Bigby's not he's not the sheriff anymore. He's like a private, or he's not working at all. And then Snow comes to him, and he's a private. He's talking to Snow in the teaser trailer, and she comes to him with a problem. She's like, "We need you back," and he's like, at the time, he's a private investigator. He's not the sheriff anymore.
Okay.
So she needs help with something, but he's not actually in the sheriff position. So something between the end of this game and the sequel happens, but I'm sure we'll
There's
find
always
that out.
something going on in Fabletown.
Mm-hmm.
That was a super cool game, though. Thanks for recommending, Brandon.
Yeah,
I
it
It was
I had a
different.
good time there. I haven't played TellTale Game in so long. Like it was fresh. It was exciting. It was good.
Awesome.
Dude, I was hooked. Like that end of episode 1, I was like hooked. I just had to know what was going on. They do such a good job of the cliffhangers in between episodes, and it just makes you want to keep going.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think I ever would have played this game if we didn't do it for the show. You know, like I had no interest in this game whatsoever.
Right.
Because I didn't like when it was announced at the Game Awards back in 2019, the sequel. Like people were losing their minds. I'm like, you know, what's the big deal? I've heard of this game, but I don't know anything about it.
How do we get other people? Like, how would you say to somebody else, like, hey, you should try it out. Like, you should play this game. Like, what would you say about this game? It's like it's worth the, I don't know, 10 hours.
Well, you say it all the time, Brandon. Video games don't have good stories. Usually
They don't have good acting, good stories. Usually, it's more
Good
about
acting
the
and
gameplay
good stories.
graphics.
This game is the opposite. The gameplay takes a backseat,
Right.
and it's the characters and the voice acting and the story takes front and center. So, like I said in the beginning,
And visually,
I felt like
beautiful.
I was watching visually beautiful. Yeah, I felt like I was watching like a TV series, you know, like a serialized TV series.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, if anyone looking for a really, really good story should absolutely check out this game. Like, and it's a good one just to sit back and relax and play. Cause like some of the quick time event scenes are those that's the only part of the game that I found a little bit annoying is like the button tapping.
The button tapping I don't mind. I don't like, but I don't mind like swiping left or right. Like that's fun. Like I feel like I'm
that's
kinda,
fine.
Whatever.
I feel like there was a little bit too much of that. Like they used that
The pacing's
same
off.
sequence a lot.
Because I'm falling
and,
asleep, like answering questions, I was like, oh shit, I gotta
right.
go left and right and hit A. Yeah, no.
No, but when I'm making the choices, like the story choices, and like, you know, everything's hitting on with the story, I'm like at the edge of my seat just wanting to know what happens next.
Yeah.
15 hours, $15 for a 10-hour game. So you're getting like a lot of value per hour there for like a really, really good story. You pay $15 to see a 2-hour movie in a movie theater.
And this is a hybrid of a TV show and a video game. Because like if you look at like the first, I don't know, whatever show, it's like 10 episodes and each episode's an hour, right? Or maybe with credits it's like 15 minutes. So this pans out to be like a season, right?
Right.
But it's a season that you can make decisions in. And then if you have other friends get into it with you at the same time, you can do what we're doing. It's just like, what did you pick? What did you pick? And just know that you just experienced a really fun story. And it's different. But like Dave called this a long time ago, and I think it's really cool, is that we all have the same background. We all more or less know these stories, these old ass folklore stories, you know, and it's just like this different spin on it. And it's mature. And I think the visuals hold up. I think the music holds up. And when video games do like narrative, story driven stuff, it's not always that good. I don't care how many A's you want to put in the quality of the game. It doesn't mean that the acting's always good. In this game, outside of Bloody Mary, I think the acting was great. I thought they were very interesting. Like I love every time they introduced a character. Tweedledee and Tweedledum were awesome character designs. And
most games get focus on the game aspect of it, and this is all just focused on the story and the narrative of it, which
no, that's not the focus at all. Like the highlight is definitely the story.
like this was a great one. I played it with my wife every episode. She was ready to jump right back in.
No shit. Oh, really?
Sat on the
Your
couch
wife
next. Well, yeah, I
takes
let
over?
her make a lot of the choices too. She was
Oh,
she
that's
was
cool.
the asshole. I had to explain to her that Big B is also like Big B, like Big Bad Wolf, Big
Yeah.
B. She's
Mhm.
like, oh yeah. It took her a second there, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny. But yeah, it's a
Big
great,
Wolf, huh?
great wife or girlfriend game. She can, if she's looking at her phone, it doesn't really matter because she's still kind of watching and listening to it at the same time. But most times, she was into it and paying attention and like very invested in the story. It's good.
I just played this by myself in the dark with headphones on in my office.
Same.
I was like fully invested in
Yeah.
the story, like focused with headphones on. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna make the damn decisions around here, and I'm gonna give that bug ring to Snow White. God damn it! That's great. Is there anything else we want to touch on with this? I feel like other than that, like just go fucking play the
I don't
game,
know.
and if you
Yeah, we've
and
had
if-
such a long conversation, but
and then get excited for the sequel because hopefully it's gonna happen. Hopefully it'll pan out.
well, that's the thing. I went from caring 0% about the sequel to like I want to play this right now,
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Glad everybody enjoyed this one. Well, then let's take a break. And then when we come back, we can play 20 questions. And we're back to Act 3, and we always like to play a game. That was a long conversation, so I'm going to just go with a classic movie 20 questions. Are you
Classic.
gentlemen ready? It is classic.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Well,
Let's see what you got.
if somebody listened that doesn't know the rules, though, it's just all they can ask is questions that I can say yes or no to. And if they guess and they get it wrong, game over. So they have technically 19 questions and then a guess. But sorry about that. Okay, so who wants to kick us off?
Do you want to do the honors of the opening?
Yeah, we'll do the standard. Was this movie released after the year 2000?
No.
No. Okay.
All right. Is it released before 1990?
Yes.
Was it released before 1990? Yes.
Okay. Was it released before 1980?
Yes.
Holy shit, that's an old one. I don't want to keep going.
It's gonna be something
but
shitty like Lawrence of Arabia or something.
I feel like I don't know many like movies that old.
Well, it's got to be something fairly popular if it's going back that far. So
Star Wars.
before 1980, there are some good ones, but yeah, if we didn't grow up then, you only know like the classics or like the good from each genre.
All right, I just have to know: was this released before 1970?
Yes.
Oh my god, that's got to be like a Hitchcock movie or something.
Oh God.
Oh, this is getting into territory that I am unfamiliar with.
Oh, I mean, I don't want to even start saying movies. I don't know much.
Is this movie of the horror genre?
No.
Okay, I guess we could say it. Not all
Is it-
Hitchcock's movies are. I was gonna say thriller.
I was gonna say, is it of the fantasy genre?
Yes. 6
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? Like original?
Wizard of Oz,
Okay. Okay.
or I don't know. That's old as shit.
When wasn't there like an original Hobbit movie or something?
That was in the 70s, I believe.
Okay, I thought it might have been 70s.
It was like the animated one,
Hmm.
which had some weird trippy ass shit. So
Yeah, Wizard of Oz is a good one.
fantasy
It's just
movie
the 30s.
before 1970. Like like my Rolodex of pre 1970s movies.
If we're playing the meta game, it could be something like Wizard of Oz, since we were talking about the Wolf Among Us, fairy tale type characters. I don't know if Brandon would make it that obvious, but
Possibly. He's got a steely, cold glare at the camera right now. He's not giving anything away.
Face.
Does this movie? I'll ask this: was this movie originally shot in black and white?
No.
Okay, so not Wizard. Okay, so that gives us a little more info.
Let's do we got any good actors from back then that we can ping on?
Charlie Chaplin.
I don't know if it would be that horrible. Like, I couldn't even think. Okay, well, is this an animated movie?
Good question.
Yes.
There we go.
Ooh, it could be like
You're not
Fantasia.
not doing too bad. You're only 8 questions in.
Is this
Animated
movie
with
made
yes.
by Disney?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sniping now.
Thinking Fantasia or something.
Fantasia could be good.
There's some other ones.
Before the 70 though. Like, what else was back then? Like, was Snow White that old?
Yes.
I think that was 50s,
Snow White
60s.
was, yep, right around there. Could be, Cinderella. Could be any of those.
I thought Fantasia
old
was
ones.
after 1970.
No,
that was
Fantasia is like the 50s, 60s.
like that shit was good animation for back then.
Mhm.
Like that had my child heart
Honestly,
pumping.
I said this like a year ago on one of the episodes where I watched Sleeping Beauty, and it was in the 50s, and I was blown away by how it looked.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty crazy.
It was very attractive, and I think Disney movies age well.
And you see the shots how they did it, like top to bottom, where they have like the parallax and like giant ass
Dude, it's
film.
like beautiful painters and stuff like that.
Let me ask this question.
Every frame. Like, insane. Sorry.
Is Mickey Mouse in this movie?
Is Mickey Mouse in this movie? No.
Okay. I was going to say, it's not Fantasia then.
That's 10 questions.
Unless I'm thinking of something else. Oh, wait.
Was Sword in the Stone before then? That might have just been 70s. I'm going to write it down as a posse.
I kind of want to ask, was this character referenced in The Wolf Among Us? But I don't know if I want to ask that.
Well, wasn't Sleeping Beauty in that movie too? Thought.
Oh, in what? Fantasia?
Wolf Among Us.
Oh, in Wolf Among Us?
Because Snow was, but I'm trying to think of any other.
I don't think Sleeping Beauty was. They made a reference to Cinderella. They said like Cindy's on vacation or something like that.
That was Cindy.
Should be in the
animated Disney.
It's got to be one of the classic Disney movies. Fuck it. I mean, Snow White is a main character in Wolf Among Us.
Ask, does this movie have 7 dwarves in it? Is that how many there are? 7? Yeah.
Wait.
That's your question?
Is it 7?
Yeah, I mean, it is 7, but hold on. I want to make it more generalized. Did this character... Yeah,
guys are right.
It'll cover Snow White too. Yeah.
Okay.
So, is there reference to this character in The Wolf Among Us?
Yes.
Okay. Now we can ask the 7 dwarfs question.
I feel like you guys knew that though. 11th question.
Does this have 7 dwarves?
No.
Okay, not that obvious. So, character from The Wolf Among Us could be. Oh no, Beauty and the Beast was like 90s. Never mind.
No, that was maybe 80s.
It was like
no, it was like late 80s, 90s. Yeah. No, I'm thinking. What the fuck am I thinking? I'm probably thinking Cinderella.
Could be Cinderella.
So there's no 7 dwarves.
Could be Little Mermaid. Also, no, that was 70s.
That's it. Little Mermaid was
Or 80s, actually.
80s, 90s.
Yep, 80s.
So is there a Disney Big Bad Wolf movie? Or Little
Are
Red
you asking me
Riding Hood?
that question?
No, I'm asking Eric. Sorry.
Not that I can think of. I don't.
I don't even really think so either.
I mean, there might be like an animated short or something, but
Oh,
I don't know. If,
Alice in Wonderland was back then.
was she referenced in The Wolf Among Us or any character from?
Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Oh, duh. Okay,
That's a good one. How do we?
that's a good poll.
You're on
Alice
question
isn't
12.
in it.
I feel like you guys are doing pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to set records here, but I want to make sure we're safe. Go burning our options.
I don't.
How can we? Yeah, how can we eliminate? I mean, we could just straight up ask. Is
Just a
Tweedledee or
Cheshire
Tweedledum?
cat.
Yeah,
Or yeah. Just ask that. That's fine.
or Tweedledee and Tweedledum in the movie. Yes, okay. It's gotta be Alice in Wonderland.
Is it Alice in Wonderland?
Is that your question?
I mean, that's the only movie I know with Tweedledee and Tweedledum in
Is that
it.
your final answer? Our final question?
I think so.
He's trying to psych us out.
It
think
is.
so.
Alice.
Yeah,
14,
there we
not
go.
bad.
Nice.
All right,
We
nice. That was a toughie.
I bought a Alice in Wonderland puzzle for my wife. She was like, "I want to do a puzzle," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'll get a new one." So I get this really sick looking Alice in Wonderland painting. I should take a picture of it and put it on social media. But I was like telling my 3-year-old, "Have you seen this? Do you know what this is?" And he doesn't. So I put it on. So we're watching it before I recorded this. So
Ooh.
yeah, but it's cool. The artwork is freaking awesome. It's weird. It
is
I'm curious how those movies
trippy as
hold
shit.
up with little kids today.
It's got
I
like a
mean,
weird
the
uneasiness
cram scene's
to it.
kinda
Like, yeah, it's got like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's all sorts of weird shit. It definitely feels more dreamlike being an adult, and like, it's got
Yeah.
like that unknown to it where it's uncertainty everywhere you go. It's weird.
But you watched it as a kid. I bet you watched it as a kid. It was like,
Fuck yeah.
you remember the scenes, but seeing it as an adult years later, it's weird.
The walrus
when
and
it
the
was-
carpenter, or like,
Yes.
the walrus just fucking eats all of them. And that's the end of it.
Oh, the walrus eats all the oysters.
Well, eats all the baby oysters
Yeah.
because Grandma Oyster told them not to go out in the sea.
Yep, it's
you know?
dark, man.
All sorts of
I
stuff.
honestly
People
don't
getting
even
their
know
heads
if
cut
I've
off.
seen
It's
that
a trip,
version.
man.
I feel like I've only seen the Johnny Depp version.
Yeah, I've never even seen that one. Is it good?
Eh.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I also saw it in IMAX in the front row, so I wouldn't know. I have
That's-
had to like watch half the screen the whole time.
Fucking up Johnny Depp's nose.
No, it was weird. No, it's not good. That was a lot of fun. Eric, do you mind just doing some social and we'll get out of here?
Sure. We'll wrap it up. If you want to follow us, you can follow us at Nomads of Fantasy, Instagram and Twitter. You can email us at nomadsoffantasy@gmail.com. Any questions, comments, recommendations for games, all that good stuff. And you can visit the nomadsoffantasy.com for all your nomad needs. I think that's it. Anything else?
Tell a friend, give a
Tell a
high
friend.
five, and say, "Go Nomads."
Oh no, that's our new catchphrase. Go
Why not?
Nomads.
Another
Oh my God,
T-shirt.
please not.
Yep, put that on a shirt. All right, let's get out of here. As always, safe travels, Nomads.
listed here as a private investigator. What does that sort of work entail?
Depends on the night. Most nights, it's watching, waiting for a slip-up. I don't know, someone gets greedy, someone gets brave.
And that's what you were doing the night of the incident.
Yeah. Took me weeks to track them down. They hadn't cast so much as a shadow. Till that night.
You've been hesitant to share with us. I assume it has something to do with confidentiality associated with the job.
Something like that.
Your boss, Miss White, said things didn't go as planned. She mentioned that there was some violence? In the moments when you find yourself losing control. How does the anger manifest itself?